Sometimes we highlight fun and interesting courses from around the country, and we have that for you today. Here are some courses about sex and love. Ooh la la. So a few that I want to highlight. One is from Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts. It's called Beyond Hooking Up, Creating Meaningful Relationships. And I think a lot of times people think like, oh, sex classes, you're just like wasting your time, or just, you know, wanting to do something salacious and talk about sex. But a lot of these courses I think are really important, because in college and just in general in our schooling careers, we learn a lot about math and science and these things that are important in your future career, but we don't learn a lot about the important things of just making yourself a whole human being, and about—
That's what it's used for.
Exactly. That's why you tune in here. And also fashion trends occasionally.
Yeah, that too. Lately.
But anyway, so I think this is really good, because I think we need classes not just about like sex ed and the physiology of sex and stuff like that, but about how to have meaningful relationships and meaningful sex. So
that's what life is really about.
I mean,
like
really
the career stuff is just to sustain you to have a human existence,
right.
And human existences are about relationships with other people.
Exactly, and I think far too often we learn all about the career and nothing about life.
Yeah. So this one, what that was at Duke. Yeah. A lot of these are women's studies or psychology. Oh, I was looking at dating and mating.
Oh yeah.
So the other one I want to talk about, there's an English course at Kenyon College in Ohio called Seductions. Now this isn't just about sex and love. It's also about like seducing people, like in like Dr. Faustus, like stuff like that, like Othello, Paradise Lost, like people being seduced into ideologies or evil or things like that. But obviously there is a sexual and dating component to this. I have a book, actually. There's this I forget the author, but he did like the 49 Laws of Power or whatever. He also has one on the most famous historical seductions, like in people like throughout history who are best at seducing people. And I think that it's really interesting, because the cool thing about seduction is that we imagine ourselves to have willpower and to know what we want. And we're not going to be like falsely influenced by things like, you know, McDonald's commercials and stuff like that. But it's cool to see people who know how to press the buttons.
Example,
exactly.
McDonald's.
Yeah. After this, I'm totally going to McDonald's. But it's interesting to see people that can push our buttons and get us to do things that we don't necessarily want to do. Not just in sex and not just in dating, but also in like voting a certain way on a bill or going to war with a country. Like that stuff is cool, and I think that it definitely makes an English course more interesting. Very
much so. Yeah. There's also UT has a human sexuality course. I know that CSU has one of those too. I never took it, but it was a part of a psychology course. And so, but the nice thing for people who weren't psychology majors was that there were no prerequisites to that course. So if you kind of just needed an elective and you weren't a psychology major, you could still take it.
Yeah.
And then one other one that I want to talk about is Lust, Love, and Relationships. That's a marriage and family therapy course at Syracuse. And it talks about why certain people fall for each other, the different types of love that exist.
Yeah, there's a related one I want to mention called Psychology of Love, which is a psychology and gender studies course at the University of Utah. So something good happening in Utah. But the basic description of this covers a variety of different love-based topics, such as what determines who people fall in love with, what causes the behavior of people who are in love, and if men and women are fundamentally different when it comes to love, which is interesting because I think that we all have a basic idea of what love is based on our personal experiences. And going through different relationships, we get sort of exposed to how other people approach it. But I actually very much like the idea of studying it scientifically, like understanding the hormonal component of love and why it is that sex causes feelings of like closeness with another person and companionship. And also definitely the gender differences in the modern day and historically as well. So these may sound like just like, you know, like hippie courses to take, but I think that there's some a lot of value to it.
Yeah, agreed. So if you have any similar courses at your university that you want to highlight, feel free to leave those in the comments or to tweet us and let us know.